Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you're planning to visit Egypt or even move to Egypt, you may be wondering, what are the nightlife prospects there, particularly in Cairo? Is alcohol legal? Does a majority Muslim country like Egypt even have nightlife? Is it dangerous to carry alcohol or consume it? We're gonna get into that in depth in this video. I lived in Cairo and I went to my fair share of clubs, bars, and cafes. I know where to go, and I'll save you the time of having to find out the good places on your own. I'll also give you a little bit of an overview about the role that alcohol plays, or the position that alcohol has within the Egyptian society at large. This is part of a bigger series I'm doing on Egypt for both tourists and expats. So make sure to subscribe for more content on food, culture, misconceptions about Egypt, finding housing, day-to-day life, and all that good stuff. Drinking alcohol is pretty different in Egypt compared to the US, where I'm from, and a lot of other places in Europe. So the types of places where you can drink alcohol are also different. And societally, it's not a one-to-one comparison. It is legal to purchase and consume alcohol in Egypt. We need to clear that up first. However, since Egypt is a predominantly Muslim country, the overarching attitude of the society is not that of a cheerleader when it comes to alcohol. People are not drinking outside, they're not drinking on the street, and really it's not a central part of Egyptian society at all, like you might find in the US or in England or some other countries in Europe. There are Muslims who drink alcohol, as religious observance in general is a big spectrum, but it's certainly not part of the societal fabric. Most bars will be in wealthier, cosmopolitan neighborhoods like downtown Maadi, Zamalek, and New Cairo. So what does all of this mean for you? You cannot act drunk in the street. And in general, not just when you're drinking alcohol, but you really should not try to draw a ton of attention to yourself, and particularly if you are drinking. It's essential to use much more caution and self-awareness than you would drinking in your home country. This is a rule that we can't really get around. You're a guest in the country, and it's best to respect the people and the customs of the place that you are visiting. Also, while it's pretty easy to find places to drink alcohol in Cairo, it will not be easy to find your favorite brands. This is because of protectionist laws that make importing foreign alcohol ridiculously expensive. So you're not gonna find Smirnoff, you're not gonna find Jack Daniels. What you're mostly going to find are Stella and Saada beer, Old Stag whiskey, and ID vodka. One of the few foreign brands that you will see is Heineken. If you want to drink your favorites, you need to buy them at the duty-free shop in the airport. Okay, ice. Drinks with ice. This part is a little graphic, but you need to avoid ice if you are new to Cairo, or just in general. Avoid it as much as you can. The water is not the same there as it is in your country, and Egyptian people grew up with it, so they can tolerate it. If you are new to Cairo, get drinks without ice and only drink bottled water. I am gonna save you a lot of trouble here. Sticking to wine or beer or anything bottled is also a good idea at the beginning. The last thing you want to be is enjoying yourself, immersed in Cairo's beautiful, bustling, dynamic nightlife, and then all of a sudden develop the emergency need to find one of Cairo's least pretty places, bar and restaurant bathrooms. Disclaimers aside, let's get into the bar scene in Cairo. So for the purposes of this video, I've split bars into three categories. Low-key small bars, bars that are very luxurious, and bars with dancing, kind of that fall right in the middle. Of course, there are overlaps. The categories aren't locked in, but they should serve us well for the video. So first thing, low-key small bars. We're gonna start small and kind of build up. These bars, I would say, are in between a cafe and an American dive bar. They're pretty quiet. You can usually grab a table. There's no dancing. Maybe there'll be some pool tables, but the point of going to these spots is not to see and be seen. It's not to have a raucous time. It's really more to talk with your friends and have the ability to drink alcohol. It's really about generally unwinding, which, trust me, you will definitely want to do after a few days in the heat, noise, and general exhaustion of being in Cairo. The menus here are pretty standard. They're gonna have beer, they're gonna have wine, they're gonna have bottled sweet alcoholic drinks, sort of like Smirnoff Ice. They might have some basic mixed drinks. They'll also have coffee, tea, and soft drinks. In general here, you can be left alone. The crowds are usually pretty laid back and you can hear yourself talk. The pros of these places are that they're cheaper. Drinking alcohol surprisingly can get pretty expensive in Cairo because normally very wealthy people are the ones who are drinking alcohol. You won't need to buy a table. There's no bottle service. The drinks are definitely cheap for US standards. And also the vibes are very chill. There aren't many places with chill, quiet vibes in Cairo, so they can be a really, really nice break, these types of places. Cons of these places though, they're really not that lively. If you're looking for something a little boisterous with a lot of energy, these places are not gonna be for you. I used to go to some of these places semi-regularly when I was working in Cairo, and like any chill bar or dive bar in your own home country, they can get pretty old pretty fast. They can get a little boring. Another thing about these places is that a lot of them are very small. Not all of them, but for the ones that are small, it can be very difficult to get a table. So you need to make reservations. The last thing you want to do is take like a 45-minute Uber and then find that there's no space for you. The big one is Hurriya. This is a classic bar right in downtown with pretty unique decor, and it has a pretty significant place within Egyptian history. This place has been known as a hub, as a meeting place for artists, intellectuals downtown. Especially as a tourist, this would be a great place to go and sit just to be able to say that, oh, I've been to Hurriya. Another one that I really like is called Al Ganena. It's located in Doqqi on the Giza side of Cairo, and it resides on the roof of the St. George Hotel. You're gonna find that a lot of these bars are located on rooftops and have a very nice breeze, including this one, especially at night. They have other drinks besides alcoholic drinks. They have fresh juice, they have milkshakes. They also have food, but the menu is kind of all over the place, so eat at your own risk for sure. Another one that's a favorite is Rooftop Zamalek. It's very centrally located in Zamalek. It has a huge open space, really nice views. It's kind of average across the board, but if you're looking for a place to sit and have a drink with your friends and kind of relax, it'll beautifully serve that purpose. Best to make a reservation here because if you don't, they're gonna stick you on the side with a really not so great view, and we used to refer to that as the JV side. So go varsity or don't go at all. If you want a more hectic bar with loud and tight spaces, somewhere where you can really feel the energy of the people, go to Cairo in downtown. A lot of people like it. It was never my cup of tea. It gets insanely hot. It's indoors, so everyone is just ripping cigarettes. It gets real smoky. It's so tight inside, but it's got a very unique atmosphere. One thing that is great there is that you can bring a bottle of alcohol from outside. Some other names are the King Hotel in Doqqi, Lotus in downtown, also Odeon in downtown, and the last one on this list is the Red Onion in Maadi. All right, category number 2, bars with dancing. They're going to be a little bit more upscale than the ones that I just mentioned, but they're still casual, still not bottle service, and still not kind of, glitz and glam type places. These are going to be bars and lounge spaces where you can usually order food. There's gonna be Western food items like burgers. There can be live music as well, and they'll generally have a pretty young, cool, hip feeling crowd to them. You're gonna find electronic music, experimental music, some rock music, and you'll be able to drink an upscale cocktail while enjoying it in some nicer looking casual clothes. You're gonna find lots of expats in these places, and in general, you're gonna find a decent amount of wealthy Egyptians who are looking to have a fun but still casual night out. Always in these places, be ready for cover bands who are gonna ruin some of your favorite American classics. I've been invited to way too many Metallica cover band concerts at these places. There are 2 big places in this category, the Tap and Cairo Jazz Club. The Tap has 2 locations, the Tap East in New Cairo and the Tap West in 6th of October. These are kind of reminiscent of a US bar, and it's pretty expensive, but it has a full food menu. If you're looking for somewhere nice, clean, and generally pretty relaxed, this is the place for you. They also do have a very nice, huge outdoor area with some picnic tables, and it's a very nice patio to kick back. It's definitely more bar than club though, although they do have a dance floor and they do have live music events. I went there once and they said the dance floor was, quote, broken. Personally, I do have some negative experience at the Tap, particularly the one in New Cairo. I went with a friend of mine who wears a hijab, a veil, and I guess they have a no hijab policy, so we weren't let in. This gets into the class dynamics in Egypt, and we don't need to get too in-depth there for this video, but basically a lot of these places are for the elites. And there's a weird thing in elite circles in Cairo where places deny entry to women who choose to wear a veil, even though the overwhelming majority of Egyptian women wear a veil themselves. So that was just ridiculous. And then on another occasion, I wasn't let in there because of how I was dressed. I had just gotten a haircut and I had a very Egyptian t-shirt with a big bullet on it and some nonsensical English writing on it. So I guess I looked a little bit too regular for them, a little bit too middle class, and the bouncers didn't like that. They didn't let me in, and then as soon as I flashed my US passport, I was welcomed and I was greeted very, very nicely after that. So I'm not a huge fan of the tap, but you know, if you are looking for a pretty standard, kind of upscale, similar to a US bar, go for it. The second place on this list is Cairo Jazz Club, which has one location in Mohandesin, this is my preferred location, and one in Sheikh Zayed, pretty far outside of Cairo. Cairo Jazz is a lot more like a club than a bar. They have DJ sets, they have some experimental music sometimes, they even have some rap shows sometimes. There's a full bar, it can get very crowded, but it definitely can be a lot of fun depending on the event that you're going there for. You can also just go there to have a drink. It's not quite the place to sit at a table and kind of relax and order food like you can at the tap. So you got to bring your energy when you get there because it can get very, very crowded very, very quickly. If you're staying downtown, definitely go to the one in Mohandesin. It is way closer. The ride to the one in Sheikh Zayed, when I went there, was like 35 minutes, and that's when my Uber driver was literally going 100 miles an hour. It was the most terrifying car ride of my life. The last place on this list I'll throw into the mix is called Zulu. It's a South African bar in Maadi, and I only went there once. They had a hip hop night, and I'm pretty sure they have kind of weekly events that you can check out on their website. But I had a lot of fun there. It's pretty casual, it's pretty regular. There's nothing inside it that is making it really, really special. But yeah, good vibes, kind of fun people. The last category, fancy bars. I'm from the US, and the luxury bars are very similar to the expensive bars and lounges and clubs that you do have in the US. Reservations, very dark lighting, very expensive. And when I say expensive, sometimes at these places you can get into the ballpark of US prices. And comparatively speaking, that's like, you know, a small fortune for everybody in Cairo pretty much. On the other hand, if you want to ball out at a 5-star location for a lot less than you would in your home country, this is your opportunity. This is really where the Egyptian elite, they really come to flex here. So if you're not careful, you can blow real money real fast, especially if you're on Egyptian wages. You're gonna see people here dressed up. You're gonna see people here ordering very elaborate food, very Western style menus. They're not necessarily the most raucous and wild, but they will have some pretty loud music, very nice tables. It definitely feels decadent. If you can walk away from this category with one word, just think decadent. They're gonna be mostly in Zamalek, downtown, basically where there are a lot of fancy hotels and wealthy, fancy people. Just know that the food they serve is mostly going to be like Western food. So if you have an idea of what carbonara pasta is, you are not going to be blown away by the carbonara that these restaurants or bars will serve you. Just really take that into account. Some names: Crimson, Opia in the downtown Hilton Ramses, the St. Regis, pretty much any fancy hotel. And then another one is Sass, which I believe there are 3 spots within the same location. It's on a boat on the Nile, very ritzy. So the overview for these places is, if you really want to see and be seen among some of Cairo's highest running circles, head to the luxe and decadent bars. There are other types of bars in Cairo, but they're really not for you. There are Beledi bars, which have very weird vibes. I'm not endorsing you go there. There's nothing wrong if you do go there. I would say women, don't go by yourself. It's a lot of older guys just sitting and drinking and smoking cigarettes, and you are going to be stared at if you go in there. So that's basically the rundown of types of bars in Cairo, Egypt. I hope this list helps. Please comment any questions you have or suggestions you have. I don't know everything, and this is mostly based on my personal experience from living in Cairo, so there are definitely things that I missed. If you have any additional places you'd like to add, please flood the comments. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any more content related to visiting Egypt, moving to Egypt. This is really your hub, your resource to have a wonderful time while you are in Egypt. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.